Hello, hello. We are live on the internets. All right. Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Pragmatic AI in .NET show. You might be watching us live, in which case we love to hear where you are tuning in from. We love seeing all the places around the world. But if you're watching this later, hello from the past. This is the Pragmatic AI in .NET show. There's a lot of hype around all things AI, but we want to cut through that noise and get to people who are actually building and shipping software with AI. I'm your host, Sam Basu, and today I'm delighted to have the wonderful Colin Whitlatch from Kahua. How are you, sir?
Good. I'm great. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for making time. I know you're super busy. I think this is a week you're doing like a team offsite.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an on-site. We do an R&D week once a
On-site.
year. Yeah, bring everybody in. So I've got our entire R&D team here at the office. It's about 147 people. So yeah,
Wow.
it's a little bit wild. And I will say, people come into my office here. They come in at any time. They may join the party with us. We'll see. It's fun.
Absolutely, yeah. Whatever happens, especially with AI, is the only thing that could have happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Colin, why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Colin Whitlatch, CTO of Kahua, and I've been with the company almost from the very beginning. I'm actually one of our first employees. Over 15 years ago, kind of the founders had an idea to take what they built in construction management, construction project management, a very static, rigid set of websites. It was internet-based, but it was traditional. I think it was ASP when things were eventually shut down. And they wanted to do it again because they were all young fellas, and they were like, "Hey, what could we do?" But instead of doing something that's very structured, traditional, and build a bunch of static sites or maybe some dynamic things, database driven, what if we built a platform instead, and we had a platform that could support what we built previously, and just not have anything that's specific to construction, but have a system that can run and do exactly the same thing. And so that's where the idea was born. And I joined when it was still just an idea, and then took a look at technologies out there and evolved. And just to fast forward things to get to the good AI stuff here, we literally started prototypes in Flash, and then we actually used
Oh, wow.
yeah, way back. And then we needed a robust platform, so we used Silverlight for our initial rollout. But fortunately, 2011 was the end of Silverlight.
Hmm.
We made our way through WPF and then over to WinUI. And then today, we're still WinUI based. However, we work with Uno and utilize their capabilities to provide a common solution that runs on desktop, web, and mobile. And so have this wonderful, robust, enormous platform now. It's always mind-boggling to me how big the capabilities of our platform have been. We're about in our service components, about 7 million lines of code there, and it's about actually 7 to 8 million over on the host side, all in and things. So it's a very large code base. But it's been a fun ride to get to here, and I will say it's with AI, it's more fun, but very interesting in where we are with the enterprise AI development. So we're about to get into that, but before we do, just happy to field anything else you got because I'm very excited about some things you're going to show.
Yeah, awesome. So I know a little bit about what you folks do, and it's amazing. You dropped some names in there, Flash and Silverlight, and all the good old things. Yeah, it's been evolution of so much of tech, but here we are. I work at a platform. We make modern cross-platform .NET. With AI and visual tools, takes you everywhere. And Colin and his team are the biggest push behind our motivation to get more things done, so we can have a platform that everyone can build on. So thank you for all of that, folks tuning in. David from Toronto, hello David, and we are, by the way, live on X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So wherever you're watching it from, feel free to comment where you are tuning in, and whichever platform you're watching on, you do have a chat on the right hand side, hopefully. So use this chat to talk to us, whatever you want to see. I think Colin has some ambitious plans on what we can do. So talk to us. Any questions, any concerns, any thoughts? We are all for the interactivity. Okay, so AI, Colin, it's changing how we build software. Where are you at?
Well, we're both very far, and we're just starting out. Is what I would say. Well, we have some significant developments here at the company. Um, a year ago, we were exploring AI. We had AI data scientists taking a look at things. And our original, maybe 2.5 years ago, the thought was that AI was mostly on for our customers and trying to find solutions that AI can help them. And so we're looking at things such as maybe developing custom models and putting things within our product that could add value. And that 100% is adding value via AI to our customers. That's imperative these days for any company, but particularly ours. And today's not to talk about our marketing at all, but you may see if you go to our website, very big push for AI going on right now. I may talk a little bit about what we have because we have this. If you look, we have something called Noah Create, but that's on the product side. And here's the interesting thing that happened. We were keeping tabs on things, watching what was happening in the industry, and we tried about a year and a half ago. Tried early development with AI, but we hit a lot of roadblocks with it. Biggest one is that some people say hallucinations. I just call errors, flat out wrong behavior, and bad things occurred. I remember one of our first, that was about 18 months ago. We had to take a look at some of our Uno code, and we made some changes. And typically 50% of the time, it would just overwrite half the file, or it would actually get 90% of the file, but then the 10% that you wanted was it was completely redone incorrectly. Just chaos. And we tried it enough that we were like, all right, we can find the problem. And what worked a bit was trying to kind of use things in isolation and then bring them over manually. That did work, but it's very cumbersome and didn't really yield a high productivity. Well, last year we watched it go from, I'd say January last year, we were still having that issue. Models, there were definitely improvements between 18 months and 12 months ago. But around, I think it was March or April, to track when things like OpenAI released their models. That update, I think, was the more significant one than the one that occurred in the fall, because it changed things where the errors really stopped occurring. All right, you could go in there and then you just got true reasoning. Had logic issues. We'd say it was probably more like a junior or entry level developer. Always got to kind of review everything, which I recommend you always review everything. However, it was a case of like things are, variables are incorrect. There's actually logic flaws, but did pretty well. But that was the big shift because it went from having all these problems to, oh, okay, it's a little sloppy, but you can guide it to success. And then when we got to, I guess, the September, November time period, when you started getting things like Opus 4.6, was it GPT's 5.4, that changed it to, it's more of a senior developer. And if it's got the right instructions, the right behavior, and we'll get all into that here in a minute, it can do fairly well on its own. And it's a case of you still need to review, you need to see what's going on. You got to pass it through a lot of typical, the things we've learned, best practice over the last 30 years. But it can do fantastic things at fantastic speed. Also solve some unique things or make suggestions and insights that we just don't make on our own. And so telling you all this because what happened is realized that I'd say about around Christmas time. And what we did internally here at Kahua is opened up AI development to all of our development staff. And we did kind of, a trial run in January of just, hey, let's just do agentic coding from the beginning, AI first, as we say internally. That was the old smashing success. It was without a doubt the way to go. And at the beginning of March, actually transitioned here fully to, we always develop with AI. We still do manual code review and take a look at things, and there's cases for debugging, and you do need to get in there. However, code is built with AI now at Kahua across the board, 100%. And that goes for whether it's C#, whether it's XAML, and then our foundational metadata layer, if you will, is and it's stored as XML. I never like anybody having to hand edit XML ever, but that it could also, if we ever need to get down to that level, we use that. Though we do have tooling and things we built. So that Noah Create I was talking about is for building these things. And so we've transitioned now. It's been almost 2 months. I haven't seen the latest metrics, but I can tell you it's probably about 4 to 5 times the volume of just really code generation and good code generation. Because again, it's imperative that things that generate good quality, productive solutions, because you can easily spiral very easily. We may get that here because we're going to try some things. But bottom line, that's where we are on our journey. The reason why I say we're very advanced in some regards, because a lot of companies are still thinking about doing this. It's not for everyone. You need to, you literally have to have the right guardrails in place. You need to know the ins and outs of what's occurring. But it is the way for us and the majority of those that build along the same lines of what we're doing. But the skill set has definitely changed here. I need to be able to work with AI. I got to be able to see and reason with it. And we'll say it's all about the context. But that is where we are. We got a lot to learn because we always learn new tricks, new techniques. We build a lot of tools here to expedite what we're doing, and we're always looking for ways to get better.
All right, wonderful. You said a lot of gems in there. It's inevitable. You talked about guardrails. You talked about context, and guiding AI to use it as a tool to fall into a bit of success. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
And your team is here cheering you on as a fearless CTO. So,
Hey guys.
all right. So let's do this. So, do you want to share your screen and show
Yes.
us some of your setup?
Yes, let's
Right.
go for yes. I'll talk to our setup. What I'm trying to do, you're gonna laugh here because we're already gonna pivot. And so marketing doesn't like me to ever do live anything. They prefer that I record stuff, and I like to mess with them and just And then we're doing it, a recording, but we're gonna do it live. We're doing both right now. But what we have here is VS Code. Let me talk about a couple things. We are transitioning away from Visual Studio. It does have it's a very powerful tool, and there's a lot of things it can still do that VS Code cannot or cannot do well. However, like I was saying before, I like to build our tools, and we are working very hard here at Kahua to make it so that we are VS Code only. This is what you're seeing here. And so that's where we're going to stay. But to talk about this a bit, what I'm going to try, if anybody's watching what's on the screen here, I actually built something. We're with ai.kahua.com. It's going to be something marketing takes over, but we're just standing it up. If you go there right now, it's going to prompt a little password for something. My thought was quickly here at the last minute, which is always a bad idea, is like, you know what, I'm going to make a second site called idea.kahua.com. We're going to build that. And what I did is copy the folder over, talk about that in a minute, and it blew up. So I've got Claude here working on that problem for a second. If it gets it, great. If not, we're going back to that AI site because I want to do a little audience participation. We're going to throw anything out, see if we can pull it off. But very important thing, we serve, we have a commercial network, government network, several government networks. And so I'm under a few restrictions here. I can't show you our code. I can't even show you, like ASDO is what we use internally for ticket management. So you can't go there. What I can do is show you something brand new, which is why I'm trying this. So walking through that, where we are going to here is VS Code. And the guys that are watching or will see this later, they know I like to keep things simple. Don't like to put a whole lot into the IDE. I love it when people have their workflows and love to do things. There's a debate whether you use work trees or not. I'm indifferent. If you can handle work trees, great. If you don't even know what a work tree is, that's fine too. I don't use them. I like just having my own individual repos. But that's a preference type thing, as well as some people, they love to have Windows wherever or deal with about 20 different paints. That's fine. But when it comes down to building the code, very simplistic on our end, we use VS Code we use Copilot and we use Claude. And the reason why is there's one thing is they have their different purposes, or at least capabilities, I would say. For deep planning, we've had better results with Claude extension for something where I want to iterate on a plan, some huge feature, it can be a significant feature, or it can be a smaller one. Usually going over to Claude to do the in-depth planning. But if you want the pinpoint, quick resolutions, we use Copilot, and you can use Opus over in Copilot, but you can also use Sonnet, you can use Codex, you can use GPT, while this is coming up, all right, it wants to modify.
So can I comment on a couple of things you said while you're figuring this out? So I think I talked to a lot of people who are building with AI, and I think the consensus is VS Code, being a lightweight code editor, they can ship very, very fast. So in terms of AI, the latest models, the latest harnesses, they can go fast, while Visual Studio is a bit of a big ship. So yes, it has debugging and testing and other things, but they just simply cannot ship as quickly as an IDE or an editor can with VS Code. So I think that's where you kind of see some of the speed that VS Code can catch up to. And also what you were doing there in VS Code is actually do couple of things together. So in your chat, like that's GitHub Copilot for folks who might not know. But then you also have the Cloud Code extension. So you're doing chat directly with Cloud Code right inside of VS Code.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, 100%. So that's so yeah, we use both, and you can also use the CLI, and we'll get back to that in a second. But where we use Claude as kind of a plan versus pinpoint execution. And by the way, if you're reading this, for anyone following along, it did successfully fix our issue. I had to switch
Oh
the
yeah, I
out of
saw that.
process. Yeah, yeah. So we're up and running. So we're gonna have some fun here. Um, it's got some other issues, but we'll get to them. Something important. So you have these two because you can use Claude, or you can use Copilot. Other reason we do this is I'm not sure who out there has hit this. They occasionally have service issues.
Hmm.
That has happened, and so from a risk perspective, we need to make sure that we are have a backup plan in case things do not work,
Yeah.
and that's a backup AI plan. The real backup plan is you got to go back to manual coding, which we want to try to avoid if we can. However, that's kind of the backup option. But we want to make sure that we have two
Yeah.
alternatives, and also we can check it and see how well things are doing because sometimes you don't get the results you want out of Claude, and you may want to do your planning over in Copilot.
Yeah, exactly. And also, so you mentioned like if something goes down, you can switch to the other one, but you're also in a way pitching them against each other. Like you're using like Claude for the bigger thinking things, but you said like the quicker changes and tweaks. That's something maybe Copilot is doing, and I hear this from other folks as well. Maybe the one model is being used to generate code, one to test, write unit tests, one to do docs. So you're kind of getting the best of each of them.
Yes, absolutely. And to that end, there's the concept of setting up roles. We've looked at doing that. We have a couple of our own harnesses because, again, we build a lot of tools. That has done extremely well to launch sub agents to do the role of QA or the role of, actually just balance checking and just finding issues and errors and things like that. So, absolutely, using different models has yielded different results. Another thing to be wary of at the moment, this is going to be a big issue, is on the Claude side of things, they charge for token usage. So every token is going to be something that they bill you for. Copilot at the moment is still on I think it's their enterprise plan, which we have for Copilot and for Claude. That's charged just on a monthly
It
basis per
it is
user.
changing though.
Yes, and that's going to be significant, and it matters here because you have to know what when you're working with this, what how much it's really going to cost. And to that end, and this is where I want to talk about the CLI. CLI is powerful. You can hook it up to a lot of tools and third-party applications. You have to be very, very careful because we ran up a significant bill, several thousands of dollars in just 4 hours with a tool. Yep, at the CLI level, gave it an API key, and it went to town. It didn't even yield anything useful, just sitting there, and Anthropic could happily serve 70 concurrent requests because that is
Wow.
their model. Yep, and so that was not a good thing. However, we have other tools, and we've built our own. We've also used some external things, and they're very cost conscious with their token usage, and they work out very well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to know. Colin, if I can just pause for 1 second. Here's a comment from LinkedIn. I mean, it's a long one, but I think what the question here is in your AI usage, do you have the agents talk to each other in a way, or are they isolated streams, like parallel streams, maybe?
Isolated streams for the most part. We have a couple tools that do talk to each other. However, for primary development here, it's always going to be individual execution. There is nothing wrong with that approach of having agents talk to each other. However, for what we build, we have the concept of human in the loop on our own product. You need to have a human in the loop here, and so
Yeah.
far, and maybe the pattern will change for us. We iterate on plans, and then we review them, and then we start iterating, and then we iterate to those plans. We always do that with an individual agent here. When you get to where we have had agents do work is doing orchestrations to find and resolve defects. Because for us, we have two things around defects we have. I don't like any production defects, but they do happen. We want a resolution for our customers as quickly as possible. We want the right one. We don't want just something that just looks like it works. We want the right one. And what we found for that is we can't have agents say, hey, here's your role, and we have a harness that says, hey, this is your plan. This is what you should be executing. Here's who you are, and they can talk to another one to feed input to something that's let's say something that your role is to solve the problems that I find. And we've done that to pretty good success on defects. But for working and building with code, where we need to review these things, back to the compliance, and really it's just best practice in terms of saying, hey, we need to make sure all this code that's being created is seen and observed and reviewed by a human and AI alike. By the way, we actually do tool PR assist, and also we can just set Claude here, Orvius code, Copilot, to do any type of code review. But we have not yet gone to the level of having agents do work that's going to be something that gets into our code base.
Yeah, understood. So I feel like I'm interrupting you. So why don't you, if you want, move forward showing your stuff? There's another question in the chat room that I'd love to ask you, but if you're ready, let's talk through.
Let's because some of these things take time. And so the idea is this: we got the site running. It's actually a clone of our AI site. So I'm not even really go into it. I just did that to make sure something works. So let's, again, for those listening, throw things out there. It's the idea site, or whatever we'll come up with anything. You want to do, we can have it look.
Oh, do you want me to throw this URL in the chat room?
Well, go to idea.kahua.com for you and see if it loads. And then I'm going to open that. What I'm going to do is prep this because it worked. Again, bootstrapping things is always fun because, I actually did this twice. Did the AI site, deployed it, everything was fine. I literally did the same thing for this idea site. And it turns out there's an access permission, looks like here. And so I had to make a quick change for me. Didn't have to go the first time, did the second time. But this is development. We're used to it. Things blow up. But what I'd like to do is let's just start something new and say it knows about the other site. And we're going to go back there because context can be important. But I want to see what happens here, which is let's create a new website let's put in dev. And I'm going to do it in idea. And let's throw out an idea. Anybody got anything in the chat? Because I can definitely come up with anything.
I can get to it, but there's a password.
Oh no, we don't need that. We're gonna make a brand new one.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm just.
I see.
Yeah, we're gonna restart here. Yeah, we're gonna just do something brand new. So, do you have any idea? Do you have anything you'd like to see? Let's start with you. It could be, we can try to track the weather and try to find a weather service if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
All right, let's do that. All right, let's create a new website and dev idea. And I'm going to skip one thing, which is come up with a plan and do it just to save us some time. But what we would traditionally do for something greenfield as this would say, hey, this is what our set of requirements are. We use ASDO, as I mentioned. So we have something called a rapid project plan, and that details out the requirements and usually has a clickable prototype if it's visual. We've had high success with that. We've been experimenting with different ways to build that. We use Figma, which is fantastic. It also has a lot of AI integration with MCP servers. We also, though, have switched and have had our PM and UX team use VS Code, just like I am here, to scaffold based on some common styles and just do an HTML build-up, just a static one, just to see how things look like. And so we do that, and we can actually take those things. There's a variety of ways to get started. If you're literally doing a visual feature, you can say, hey, tie into Figma, use our MCP to pull styles and start. If it's that clickable prototype, you can read the HTML. Or what I love to do is just take screenshots. There's quite a few of us here that do that. With the power of the OCR that is out there now, you literally just say, hey, this is what I'd like to build. Here's the existing code base, and pointing to all the good AI patterns and markdown files. And get to work and then generate a plan and then review it. I get involved with a lot of the more exotic and sophisticated, complex plans because I'm happy with them being very large if they're iterative and they have validation criteria. And I'll pause there to get something started because I can keep going on the talking here, but I like to get something in place just because the average turn on these things is usually a couple 30 seconds to a minute, or it can be a little bit longer. So we'll cut it off if it gets too long, but let's get underway. So we'll just assume that we're just doing a plan, one-shot prompt, one-shot wonder, as I call it here. Let's create a new website and see dev idea. And we want this website to, let's see, pull the current weather anywhere in the world. And, we can do, again, we're freestyling. Let's have it show a map of the world. Let's see what it comes up with there.
That's going to be tricky.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get exciting here. I have it show a map of the world and the ability to click anywhere and see what the current weather conditions are and the current forecast is. And we'll go there. Let's see. let's start there. And so I'll talk about that while it does it.
Yeah.
What we've noticed is it's literally the context you feed AI. Everybody likely already knows that is crucial. It is imperative that you do two things. One is you need to be very clear in your requirements. Mine were not, which is why I switched to having it do a plan. When you have a vague requirements, AI will happily implement them.
And it'll make assumptions along
Yes.
the way.
Yes. And sometimes it tells you the assumption, which are great. A lot of times it doesn't. And so the more refined and confined you can make your requirements, the better you are. And here, it's already coming back with a couple things. So tech stack. Do we want to do vanilla HTML, CSS, JS? It recommends that. We want to React and Invite. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. Everybody will laugh that knows me here. They know the answer. We're going vanilla. We have, you can use a lot of libraries. Obviously, we're platform, fantastic. We would not build that ourselves. But for the most part, we have much better success here when we use the vanilla basic building blocks to then create our own and then build upon them. And so that's why I would do that here. I recommend that for anybody doing this. You can use the frameworks. Frameworks are fantastic. React is amazing. I'm not sure what the other one was, but I'm sure it's amazing as well. A lot of power there. And what's great is AI is going to be able to work with it. It's going to understand things nearly instantly and how they should be done in that framework and build them. But the danger is if you pick that, imagine I didn't know anything about React and I let AI work with it. Well, when it presents and builds out the solution, well, you won't be able to, if you never work with it, you don't know what are the correct patterns, was this done correctly or not. So I love to do it. So we understand C#, CS, CSS, and HTML. So we're going to do that. All right. On to the next piece. Which weather API do you want to use? Well, it's interesting. I know Open Weather Map, and I like that. And then our other options: Open Medio, completely free, no API key required. Use open source weather models. How about you, Dick? Which one do you want to use on this one? I don't have a preference.
Maybe I'm not seeing quite on your screen, but like the first one, like the one that's most popular. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Oh, people are gonna laugh here. Do we want dark or light? All right. Everybody's gonna laugh and knows me. I love light theme.
I do too, because I think it shows well on screen. Dark is good when you are just by yourself.
I completely agree. It went with recommended. So what we're gonna do though, instead of saying we do other light theme. Well, actually, you know what? Use the browser default theme and allow switching. We'll go with that route. But again, it's to your preference. People laugh because I think I have more than 50% here at the company like the dark theme, which I'm fine with. Took many years for us to get in the product.
So while it's cooking, I'm going to ask you a question on something you said. So you're saying if you had chosen React, you might not have the full expertise to review what it's doing. So in that thread, or on that thread, is a question here from the chat room. Espresso Brief, if I'm saying that right. Glad you touched on the human in the loop. How difficult is the transition when you integrate AI in your dev workflows? Validation effort. I want to focus on that. So I think the question here is, we all understand that, code generation is very, very fast, but some might say, if you don't know, like maybe you're a junior developer just coming in, you don't know, what to review, what to look for, and you cannot ship stuff that you do not understand very well yourself. So in a way, all of that code now becomes a liability because you have to go through and have the human in the loop and understand. So what's your take on that?
So you're hitting on some very important things here. There's a problem, it's a challenge. It's a challenge even for us because you have to make sure what's generated has been reviewed and needs to be done correctly. And to do that, there are a variety of ways to do it. You can, again, if you're a seasoned developer and you're doing a feature that you're very comfortable with, you can do traditional methods. You have PRs and do your process you would have done if it was manual. If you don't have that, or if it's a large feature, you're going to have to either pull in others, or you're going to have the tooling that needs to have complete coverage. What we are transitioning to, because it's something we don't do now, we're built still on the QA side of things, and even on the development side, to do more of a manual just review of many things, and that has to transition to automated tooling. And we want to do as much as we can in that area. However, there's still going to be a few things that you can't ever do entirely automated. We do have a challenge at the moment with getting complete coverage on visual aspects. We've looked at solutions that are out there, and we work with and one comment that has been fantastic to work with, because when we started, it's been, I think, 627, and I know that joke's old, so we'll move past that. Years ago, and when we first started, we somebody can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere on this one. We were the largest solution trying to do enterprise development in terms of having just a business application, and so we went a very long way, because today we went from our first iteration of this. It took, I think, about 30 seconds to load up our app and get to the sign-in screen. Today, that 30 seconds is down to about 3 seconds just to loading. It's completely on us.
Wow.
Quite a bit of assemblies. And then we now have, we use desktop and web, and a mobile, we use Skia. We have parity in performance with what we had pre-Uno and on desktop, which is with either WinUI or WPF. But to get back to the question, is you guys have been fantastic to iterate and evolve. But at the moment, what we're trying to get to is having full capabilities to have the visual aspects be something that we can automate. You can do that a variety of ways. You can do that with the accessibility. If it's completely there, say in your web, you have the entire tree of elements. If we use Skias, we don't have a DOM anymore. But there is, has been doing some fantastic work in the area to have the ability to still see a full accessibility tree. That's one way. Another is to actually do screen captures. And we have experimented with that. It's the same thing. It's been around. It's nothing new. It's been around probably 30, 40 years. That's still slow, and you still have issues with timing. And so to that end, making things automated at the UI level is difficult at the moment, but we're working to make it much better. But you can work around that in other areas in other ways. And so ways that we do it, one, you can work with a headless version of your product. And we have done that. We have a console version of our host. And so it doesn't have the UI bound to it, but it has everything up into the application layer. And so we can actually exercise a significant amount of what our system does. And so then we can write actual tests. It can be code tests that it can be manual, but we obviously prefer AI-driven tests at this point in time. And then also we have our own, we use WinApp Driver to do the automated driving of our desktop host. And that's why we need to move from that, because it's bound on older technology on our non-Skia head. And then also we have our own internal system called K-Automate. It's a capability for our applications to actually, as you use our host, it actually captures everything you do so that you can automatically play that back. And a funny thing with us is even our production system, you actually don't interact directly with our application anymore. You're actually automating it on the fly. And that gives us the ability so you can actually go back and actually capture things. For example, if you use it in production, to be able to see something, you could turn on the automation. Just let them do whatever it is to work freely, and then capture what's there, and then we can replay it. But I'm talking about kind of the quality side. As you build it, we are now looking at something I call in ours, development host test. And so what that is as you're building, is to have AI enable a development mode for whatever it is. And in ours, you always see a little bug icon that can show up in various areas. And what you can do is tell AI, is like, okay, you don't have the ability to currently see this in execution, but I would like you to build out a set of tests on the to actually execute various things and then record them, and you can have pass-fail type validations while you're building. That's one way. The other that is yielding immense results for us is for our features, moving to the ability to capture the state of the element you're working with. You can capture the state of the entire application, but that's actually very broad, and then brings a lot of unnecessary noise. What I like to see is, like on our assistant, that's one of the things we're rolling out here in just a week and a half. It has the ability to capture all of the AI interactions, the ability to capture all of the calls within the host. Back to the human in the loop, another one of our fundamental pieces here requirements is that AI doesn't have any access more than a user does. So, for example, if you want to query all your projects or get all the data within a particular application, AI only sees the same thing the user does. And so what we do is, our capture mechanism sits there and goes and says, hey, all these things that are occurring, put them in a package, ends up being a zip file, and then go through things. And if you hit an issue, then you can actually take that zip file. You can get that right back to AI, and you can do a couple things. One, you can just say, hey, examine the zip and just tell me what you find correlating to X, Y, and Z. The other is you can actually ask it to run things in the model or dissect what's in that capture. And that one is how we can track these very hard and difficult to find issues. On our app building side, that's our Canvas, that's our NOAA Create solution. It is all AI building of our applications, and it's been a very eye-opening experience here because traditionally with building web cable or a legacy product for building applications, it's very much just a programmer tool, development tool. It looks very similar to Visual Studio, and that is you construct a tree of objects and you build things, and you do it all manually. But on our campus side, it's all AI driven, natural language describing things, and the runtime of it is also natural language. And what happens is trying to do something simple, it might be AI might be misbehaving perhaps and calling something incorrectly. To fix that, it's not a line of code to update. It's literally working with the prompt, changing the context, giving more tools, changing parameters, and any number of these things in combination. And so what we need to do in order to move forward at this point, because things have gotten so complex, is to build a complete capture system for everything that occurred from the beginning all the way up to wherever you may be. Sometimes it's very early on, trying to build, add some fields into a new app, or it could be you're in a workflow and you're trying to add conditions to some type of action that is supposed to occur. And so you have all of that captured at that point. You take that, and then you can figure out, either sometimes data feature, but typically it's just to say, hey, you know what? Why is it that you refuse to make the correct tool call internally to actually enable and create what the user's asking for? And so that one right there has been invaluable, and that's how it's recommended as things get more complex. Build capabilities to capture state so that you can use that when things either go wrong, and also you can use them for the testing later on. It's like, hey, let's actually run through these automation mechanisms, capture the state, and you can do checks at the end to see if things are working as designed. There's a lot to that question.
No, that is that's fantastic. All the things you said. I would like to recap maybe and talk through a couple of things, but it looks like Claude is waiting
yes,
on you.
Let's get Claude on the way. All right, so it wants to build a new single-page weather website that renders an interactive world map. All right, you can read all of that. Looks good. I'm happy with that. Some tech choices. Leaflet.js via CDN. We're good with that. That should be good. Map tiles or OpenStreetMap, CartoDB, Dark Matter, Dark. All right, for the two different themes. And it's got the REST API. The CSS themes look good. Looking through here, file structure. It's got its implementation plan. Just scanning through it. It looks good. It's very simple, which is what we wanted. I'm looking for a lot here, and it's got some verification steps. And this isn't a bad plan, for just what we're doing here. It's just great. We're going to run this in a second here. For us, this is missing many, many things in terms of if this was a feature that we would add. First, we'd be iterating on the prompts here. First, I would say, okay, I want a more detailed plan about what's being done. It's going to do the implementation afterwards to actually write things out. It has the files up here. This is good, but I want to go a little bit more in depth on what is being added, what is being modified. I would also be asking for the security risks and impacts, for dependencies. Yep, and anything being pulled in, because I don't know what else it's going to do. This may not be all that it does, and we're going to see that when it builds here. It may pull another NuGets.
Sure.
It might be
yes.
happy with something we don't know.
So it sounds like you're putting in more of the work up front in spelling out what the plan is. In fact, on the last show, I had someone talk me through spec kit, which is another way of putting in specs and detailed plans. So the whole garbage in, garbage out is very true. You have to guide a lot of it.
Oh yeah, that's it's more than ever. And again, the more work you put up front and get your requirements refined and get through these patterns, the better. Now you can help us along by having for Claude, Claude MD within various places. What we've been looking at now is developing our markdown files to explain different areas. Context, we're very conscious of that. You'll see that quite a bit in that you run out of context. I talked about how I love images. Well, I frequently hit putting 4 or 5 different images, and I pull them through all your context. And so either just refuse outright, your thread, your chat is done, or you just aren't going to get the quality results that you're looking for. But there are ways around that. You can have it read through things. So I recommend if you're providing documentation on how your standards are, don't just drop everything in one document. Give it pointers to or links to other areas, because it will read those to give itself context. Claude loves to do its sub-agents for planning. It will identify that there is something that needs to be read. It'll read that to get its own understanding what's there. and continue. It'll follow things because, for example, we're doing weather. Perhaps there's on the database side, if you want to do some storage for the weather, you'll have rules around database access and things like that. And so it can actually follow those to figure out what the right patterns are.
Yeah.
And so let's get this underway. I'm happy with this for now. Just know I'm not happy with it. It's about being our product. I want to get
Sure.
this
Sure.
so I'd like to see something here. Let me add in. Actually, let's just build it.
Yeah.
Let's get the way. We have more questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of things that you had, mentioned. I was just going to chime in. So there are multiple ways of solving these things. You mentioned docs, and you mentioned a little bit of the testing. You could do RAG and other things, but MCPs are great to actually bring that context. So you never leave Claude or your IDE. All of your docs are right there, and in terms of UI, because like this was the question, like how do you validate what is being built is to plan. So it sounds like you have like a looping mechanism to do this yourself, but there is like Playwright, there are Uno platform MCPs. So all of this is just tooling. So you get to verify what is being built.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and Playwright's a good one. That's one we were looking at. And it was interesting to work with Playwright to do the image-based capture because Playwright, it was funny, Playwright could not get the resolution on one of the machines correct. And it resorted on its own to start drawing random graphics to actually locate where things actually end up. So it's actually smart of Claude to do that with Playwright. But you're absolutely right. There's different ways to tackle these things. Having validation is critical. Very important thing too on the defect side of things, validation is imperative because what you'll have is you've got a problem, you just tell it, describe it. AI does a fairly good job on, I'd say, easy and moderate type defects. If you get anything difficult, if you don't have validation, you're likely going to be either going to spend a lot of tokens and time, or you're going to be in an endless loop of trying to fix things where it doesn't work. You manually load it, you see it still doesn't work. You say back to Claude or Copilot, hey, it doesn't work still, here's the latest. If you don't have validation that instead says, hey, the result needs to look like, for example, maybe it's maybe the numbers are wrong in a math equation, say, hey, here's the issue, the total should be 42. In order to we need a validation mechanism in place that makes sure that the answer is 42 when you're done. And make sure you do not complete until there is a validation that achieves a satisfactory result of 42. Once you do that, it completely changes the tactics and really the thinking, the reasoning that occurs with your agent, and it will have much higher success.
Yeah, well said.
All right.
So it looks like Claude is off and running.
Yeah, it is up and running. But let's do a couple things here. We need to get a key. Let's see if we can run this for a second. I'd like to run this locally. Can we start with this up? It appears I just have files. Let's see what it does. I like to run this locally before we push it over there.
Sure.
Because it's set up for, I believe it's the ASP.NET site.
Yeah.
Checking Python availability, node availability. All right.
While again Claude is getting to work, you mentioned Skia really briefly. We're big fans because it's very fast and it's the same UI rendering across the table. So I don't know if you saw this, Colin, earlier this week. We made an announcement that Skia Sharp will now be co-maintained by us and Microsoft. So again, we use it heavily, so might as well put our money where where the mouth is. So just trying to make sure the whole library moves forward nicely.
Yes, I saw that, and it's fantastic. We are heavily reliant now on Skia, not just Windows there. We love what it does. And what we'll say, that's going to be a fantastic partnership. I've already seen the results of it. I mean, I see the contributions. Many of them are for things that we've stumbled upon because while Skia Sharp is very robust and handles a lot, there's still some things to either improve or my favorite one, performance, which that is really the biggest reason why we love Skia is just the pure performance of it. And so, that's fantastic. I'm very happy to see that. I guarantee you we will be assisting in some way, either by complaining about something that's not working.
Absolutely. That's the point. Yeah, we all move forward.
Yep. All right. What I said, by the way, we want to do Node and Python. They're not installed on this machine. Nothing wrong with those frameworks. And I bet a lot of people out there are very familiar with those, and that's what they host. Fantastic. But instead, we're typically on the Microsoft side of things. So it's checking what I have. So it's requesting, and let me talk about that for a minute. I have it in, it's editing automatically, and if you look over on the cloud side, you can ask before edits. It can do it for you. You can plan. It can do it. You can do automatic permissioning mode for it to figure out, hey, is this too far? Should I, I'm about to reformat your machine. Are you okay with that type of thing? And then you can bypass entirely.
Yeah.
You've got to know what you're doing here.
And you said that very nicely. Like AI should have the same permissions of the developer building it, no more and probably no less. If you are doing it, in YOLO or like allow all mode, like have a containerized way of letting it go to town.
Yes, you got to be very careful with that. It's back to everything. You need to know how to operate it. There are times when you can, and it may be okay to bypass permissions entirely. But you got to know what it's wired up to. And I will say we don't have any AI that's directly operating on production that can actually make any changes and do anything, because that is far too dangerous. I can't remember the name of the company, but I just saw it recently where they looks like they had their DevOps team have the ability to just run automatically and delete databases, and
Yeah.
the database delete the backup.
Yeah, and that's not AI's fault. Like you should not have terminal access on a production machine like that. Yeah.
Yes. And I've seen this firsthand, back to when AI decides to do something, did something entirely incorrectly. And after having all the guards, literally, do not make this change, don't work in this area. And it still does it on its own. And if you ask, it'll tell you why. It'll say, oops, didn't mean to. And it's that is the part where that if you don't have the controls in place, it's going to happen. So the other systems out there where there's AI hooked up to tooling that has the ability to call and delete production databases, it's a matter of time before something happens. And then it shouldn't happen in the first place where proper controls come in. That's why we are FedRAMP moderate, and we're actually IL2 and about to be IL4 authorized as well. Those programs are intended to have technology solutions. These are the controls you need to have in place and the audit for these particular scenarios. So they'll come along, and I will tell you there is no chance of having an automated agent that can operate directly without intervention anywhere in either your software lifecycle or particularly in production. So this wants to take a look. Again, you got to see what's here. Is allow reading? That's fine to read. It wants to read from app data. It's switching to do some heavy work here to build out the ASP.NET site. So we're going to see how far we get. And yes, that's just a curl command. And it started it up already. And we can allow it. Yep. Server's live. Oh, take a look. Let's see. Check this out.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah. Well,
I did not think it'll actually pull up a world map the way it did. That's nice.
All right. So here we go. Let's see what else. All right, so we got it up. All right. Now I need a free key. So let's go. There's one thing left to do. So let me go over and get that real quick while we talk. And I'm excited for what's next on the AI front, because you see there's always evolvements in the frontier models, which we use here. They are always pushing to do more and more functionality. I love it. I know it's exciting and also not exciting in the impacts that it has in certain areas, but I embrace it because it's here. It's not going away. Take a look. The reason why we switched over to AI development is that's not going to change. If we ignored it, just manually built things, whether it's a competitor or just some other industry, they're going to push forward on the AI front, and they're going to harness that power. And so we are going to be left behind if we don't. So for us, it's a matter of, from a business perspective, we need to be pushing forward. But I'm excited about the developments that are out there. Mythos, Anthropic's got, they're going to be releasing that as a security framework. I am looking forward to that. Not looking forward to the things it finds. We absolutely are going to be using that type of technique and model against our own platform to find the issues, because we need to harden our systems, because what will happen is, the bad guys do have these same tools. Being a government cloud service provider, we see intense amounts of attacks really against our network. It's nonstop. We had as a test, this is 5 or 6 years ago, stood up a IP just with an open SQL port to see how long it would take for anyone to try and connect to it. It took, I believe, 8 seconds from turning it on to being probed for SQL on a particular port. And that has not stopped. And so natural defense is just to turn these things off. Don't ever expose your SQL server to the world. However, they're out there and trying, and so you always have to protect. And it's the level of sophistication increases because again, AI can be very creative, and it doesn't just stop at the standard tactics anymore. It's like, hey, find any way into this system, and if you, like I said earlier, add validation. Well, your bad actor can literally have the same validation. Attack this system and don't stop until you get in. And so AI will churn forever. Ideally, they're using something that just charges the heck out of them, so they can't afford it. But that's the world we live in. So let me get this key here. I gotta do a quick sign up. It looks like. So I will do that. And I'm not sure if you have any other questions, but happy to talk about it.
No, I mean, while you're getting the API key, like this is why we love talking to you because you're talking about the entire spectrum. Like it's not just the dev cycle and the tools that we have to build stuff. It's also, how you deploy, and you're talking about security. All of that is very important, for anything in production, but especially when you work with governments and other sensitive things, like or other industries like, healthcare or other things, you have got to watch your back and, protect your infrastructure.
Yes, and you'll laugh. I just had to do one of the AI captchas telling me to click all the pictures of a bus, and there was an iffy bus, looked more like a truck, but it looks like I got it right. All right, so it looks like I got a couple more questions to answer, and let me see if I can get in here. Looks like I now have an account. Oh, I gotta get into my email. Proper validation here. Never used this before, as everyone can see.
Yeah, so I didn't know that Open Weather Map actually needed like I mean it makes sense that you need a key and all that. I have always used like the API weather.gov. That seems like for just quick one-off tests, like it doesn't really ask for care for much unless you start hitting their servers a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see what happens here. I got a key now. All right. I'm gonna for those watching, I'm gonna do one thing you won't see here. I'm gonna put the key in the.
I can hide your screen for just a
Let's
second.
go ahead and do that for 1 sec. Let me drop the key in.
Yeah.
Our government friends would frown upon me just exposing even something that's free. All right, so I've got the. Let me make sure this is good. So I got the free key. It's free tier, no credit card required. All right, so let's drop the JSON and let's say you can share my screen again. We're back. So
All right.
Try not to click on that file.
This is real, folks. Like this is how you see things being like and within like 50 minutes that we are in. And I've been interrupting you a lot. Like we are building something very real with API keys.
Yeah. But that's a common thing here. It's like we're already hooked up to a weather service, like you're saying, in less than an hour, we've already done something here. All right, so we're gonna see what happens. It's gonna test it for us. Let's check with London coordinates of all things. All right. Oh, it's typically take up to 2 hours to activate.
Oh boy.
All right. Any way to speed this up? Well, we got a map. Let's do some other fun stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here.
I was surprised that it pulled up a map because like some of this mapping data can also be behind like APIs and firewalls. Yeah, so it's telling you, hey, I got it.
Yeah, it doesn't like us. All right, well, what else can we do with the map? I mean, do we want to?
And it lets you zoom in. This is a really high fidelity map that it pulled up.
It is. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I got drag and pan. Look at that. Like, it's amazing. It's quick too.
Does it tell you like where it got all this mapping data from? Like what the provider was?
Street map down here at the bottom. Before we click, you know what we want to do? Let's see. Here's one thing. We don't know exactly where we're clicking. Let's go back here and ask it to while we wait.
Oh yeah. Let's tell us where. Yeah.
And let's leave it at that for a second. I left it open because what I'm thinking of is, can you just tell us latitude, longitude, or is there another service that we could look up out there to actually give us anything that doesn't require a 2-hour wait on your key? But let's see. But to just touch on a few other things, again, your development it's not just where you use AI. You use it all over, whether it's in the QA process, the upfront process of gathering requirements. Well, you also use it post-deployment. Something we've done, and again, you got to be very careful. Like I said, you got to make sure, one, there's always a human in the loop for actions, and then also for the information you give access to AI, it needs to be what the user has the ability to see and what they should see. And so what we've done on the support side of things is that this is greatly helping them to expedite what they do to troubleshoot issues. And so, for example, there's simple things like something could be if the user says they can't sign in. Well, we can easily now with our backend AI agent just say, hey, this user by email, can you check on the status of their account? And it does. It goes and take a look, and because there's support, they're allowed to see the records, and AI can pull that, and it will see, what are they locked out? Is that the issue, or is that user is it not even they're not even registered? Because sometimes people just notify our support that they can't get into Kahua, and it turns out they never signed up, and so it leads to the next thing. But also the ability, because again, if you didn't, imagine from a support agent's perspective, the only other way to do that is you got a user, and now you get to look in your system, and you can make cool things like, hey, here's a quick search bar to like put the email in, drop it in, and search, but they get taken somewhere. And then there may be more to it because you go to different areas. But again, the AI side of things tells you what's going on, and we can provide suggestions for what's next to say, we see that this user they're just locked out. Would you like to proceed with the unlocking them or initiate password reset type things? So it just greatly improves just the ability to set more software.
So it's not just the dev cycle; you're using it in the other life cycles,
Yes.
system debugging and so on.
And the generative side is fantastic as well, even on our sales and prospecting type things. And our teams are all become very adept at working with refining presentations or getting ideas for presentations. It's been fantastic for us. Looks like, by the way, if I scroll, I kind of sped past there. It wants to do a API location info that calls nominatim, OpenStreetMap's reverse geocoding. It's free, no key. That's fantastic. So we're going to get the country flag, full address breakdown. Let's see what it does.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, and by the way, we have 50 plus people watching, but Colin, I know you are at a team on site, like you're busy, so I want to be watchful of your time. Let's do another maybe 10 minutes. And then
sure. That's good 10 minutes to see it. Somebody throw out, if you got any ideas we could pull off, we're going to see what happens here with the location info. And we will... You should actually. I didn't even get to the point. I think we're not going to pull it off in 10 minutes. I will publish this for a brief time for those that were here. We can send it out and leave it up for a bit until that free API key runs out. But right now, by the way, just killed off the process. And again, this is why. Think about this. I'm working locally, and I know I did grant it the ability to kill processes, but it's doing that. So imagine if you hook this up to production. That is not a thing you should be doing. Because do you want to proceed with this? Like, no, you need to have a proper deployment. And so this last one, what it wants to do is find all idea-related processes, and it is going to, looks like it wants to just kill it off so it can run. All right, start up our core server. And let's see here. Yep, just wants to pull. Let's see what happens.
Even this is wild, just to be able to, push out so much of code in just less than an hour, which will take us a long time to do this by hand. But again, knowing those guardrails, knowing what to do and how to review.
What I don't see, by the way, is click anywhere on the map. Now here we got a problem. We're going to see what happens here. All right, it says, here's what it said. There should be a slide out panel. I don't know if it remembered to put the panel in. Oh, by the way, let's check out there you go.
Oh yeah, look at that. So system prom.
Out here we got a team saying, hey, can you add dark mode? It's like, just ask AI. All right, what I don't know. All right, so let's ask it here. So here, this is where we're going to go through a couple things. All right, so what we can do is we can actually take a screenshot here. And what we'll say is, this is the screen. Let's put that snipping tool out of the way. You do not see the cloud. There are possible reasons. So here's what's interesting. I'm purposely doing this. This is not a fantastic prompt based on what we talked about earlier. We don't have any validation. And so we could do a variety of things. This is where you need to iterate further and come up with ways to tackle this. I did send a screenshot just so I can read it. Anything could happen here, including it may be that it just fixes the problem, which is always interesting. I just asked it to say, what are the reasons? AI is very helpful, and you can try to tell it not to do that, but sometimes it will. Um, so let's read through this for a second. Key's not active,
Yeah,
but
but that's still the weather one.
yeah, it's still the weather one. This is for, and you can give a little emphasis here, the long one there. You want a panel location information, another exclamation point. And so what you could do, by the way, is you can set a harness for this, like I was talking about.
Mhm.
Um, it's an interesting steers, exactly. They knew it all
Well,
along.
this
So,
is AI.
yeah, yeah.
But to your point, in the past, like it's gotten very good at OCR, but this type of repeating, like, "Hey, fix this," like
Mhm.
one at a time, it's not the best use case or workflow.
No, it's not. It can. So here's why. To kind of use your. This is what I tell everybody here. Is this is the I cannot teach and others cannot teach what to do with AI in terms of what it's presenting you. You can teach patterns. You can teach tactics. But what happens is everything is unique. I've never done this before, and so this issue that just got presented to me never happened before. So you have to figure out what's the right way to do it. And like I was saying, it wasn't great. I just asked for some possible reasons because this is very simplistic. When it gets very complex, that's where you have to have that validation. That's where things like the harnesses, getting the information, get two things: get information in, and then get information out. And then you need to keep iterating. And again, no problem, no two problems are alike. All right, it says that it's ready to go. Let's give this a whirl, and we'll refresh. Do a hard refresh, and let's just click here. There we go. Well,
Look at that.
it does not tell us the local time, but hey, let's pick what's up in here. Piscataquis County. I'm sure I butchered that one. I'm down here.
So it's giving you the postcode, it's giving you the county.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is great. Now let's actually do a couple more things. We'll do that. So okay, let's take a screenshot and give us the latitude and longitude, and drop it in. So this is where you get into more little tactics of guiding it along. I want to confirm your need. Yeah, like I'm sure they're circumventing the process, saying, "Oh, what's in the AI API or actually the UI layer? Let's go straight into the API." So it's going to pull this itself, as you notice. It's getting our local service, and it's going to see what comes back. I'm doing that to speed it up. The issue is if it's not in the API, then it's not going to be in the UI. And so we'll find out here in a minute. Something you can do, you can steer it, by the way. You can also add additional tasks while you're doing that can be good. It can also be bad. What I use it, if you look at the thinking, see what it's saying right now. And yeah, local time and times are dashes. These come from the ODA, so it's parsing incorrectly. So it's actually now testing the actual API responses itself. And then it saw the issue, and it's still working on things. It is great to look at the thinking, particularly when you're on those complex problems, and you can steer it because if it sits there and you see something incorrect, I didn't see anything incorrect, so I don't want to correct it, but you can. It's going to queue it up. It doesn't happen immediately. It's going to depend on how it's processing, how many subagents are there, but the internal loop of both Claude Code and also Copilot now will take in additional input. It can be simple text. You can pass it along images. So use that frequently. All right, so it's doing the update, and I think that we are final stand here. See if we can get some actual information.
Yeah, so while it's giving you the final response, maybe we're doing another push. One last question here from me is in terms of bringing more context and guiding the things that you talked about. Do you find yourself using a lot of instructions or skills or specific subagents for your work?
I do not, but we do have some that are utilizing more skills, but they do use instructions. So I should say we aren't using the skills to do things except in the cases like that defect kind of looping to get it done. On the instruction side, there's two important things. One, like I was saying, we do have the documentation that we are now fleshing out to say here's the architecture and here's the design. Here's what the coding standards are. So absolutely, that's built in. Claude will do it on its own. Claude MD. Escaping me on what the Copilot version of that is, but should be doing that as well. So those are important because it does use those. But again, it's the context. not loading up a massive document is critical, because that it will be read, it goes in, and it will be pushed into context. And as we know, it's interesting with the models; they all behave a little bit differently. Sometimes what's the beginning and end of your prompt or your documentation has higher weight than what may be the middle, or depending on how frequently it's been iterated or repeated within the actual instructions of the prompt, can have different weights. And so it's always something to get some experimentation and know what's best for you. But it's very important to have those, because that does guide context. We try to keep it minimal and to the point. Having things that aren't necessary is actually detrimental. You internally here, we use ASDO, those rapid project plans. They need to have everything necessary to build. However, they should not have anything that is unnecessary in them. And also our internal rapid project plans need to be for humans and for AI. They both alike need to be able to read through something and see exactly what should happen. And that goes for what we're trying to build, and also the instructions on what should be, how something should be built, like the scaffolding and things like we're asking about here, like the best practices and everything. And then also for the validation, like I was talking about, that also should be just only include what should be there, because AI is going to happily tackle that problem based upon what you have. All right, let's load this up.
We are done.
Here it is.
Push.
Let's go somewhere else in the world. We're going to go wherever this is.
I didn't even see, like, is this Philippines, Vietnam? Oh, Bangkok. Okay.
Yeah, that is fantastic. That's the time zone. It's a municipality. It's a county. It's currently 11:07 p.m. there.
Yeah, look at that.
Yes.
Yeah, this is beautiful. And, for we actually have more people watching now, because, like, the longer we go, this is so real. This is what we all want to see, like real developer experiences, your setup and you building things. So I must say, like, this is very brave of you, Colin, to just build everything on the fly here. So this is amazing.
Well, no, it's been great. I would love to actually do this again. We can go a completely different direction. So we talk different angles about things, and it can be with AI. We can do some Skia work.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Skia, now I don't know if we will have that much of time, but we do have a Skia event coming up, and we will have Colin join us for that as well. But this is coming up kind of end of June. Skia Sharp 4 would have hit, so we are pulling some folks from Microsoft and some more folks from the community who are invested in this. So it should be a great show. And so I'm looking forward to having you there.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it as well. For that, we probably won't be able to build anything in time, but we absolutely are going to cover what you can do with Skia and just show what the new capabilities are. Looking forward to it very much.
Yeah, but this is so much fun. I'm going to take your desktop down here, Colin, and just look at you. But this is exactly why we do the Pragmatic Show. We just want to see people build things, look at your setup, look at your choice of tools, and you touched upon a lot of things, because it's not just building something. You're actually shipping real enterprise software where you have a lot of dependencies, government contracts, and everything else. So you have to look at the entire life cycle, security, deployment, and how you do debugging, and how you're doing problem triaging. So looks like you're being modest to say you're just getting started, but I think you're very advanced in how you're using it. Yeah, so this has been amazing. Thank you, Colin. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your team on site to come and join me.
No, I think having the most from now tuning in, but no, it's been fun. I really enjoyed this. And I'll also say now I'm going to have a lot of questions probably from our customers when they can drop this map into the product. So.
Why not? I was actually really surprised how well it did the mapping. Complete zoom in, and you can click in and see locations.
Yeah, we didn't even cover the other features it put in there, and then the light dark mode was fantastic. So you're welcome, guys. I'll let you use the map in dark mode now. But
there you go. All right, so thanks for everything, Colin. Kahua, you folks are doing amazing things with your team, so can't wait to see what all you will build next. Looks like chat room is thankful. Insightful and exciting. Thank you, Espresso Brave. Appreciate that. So chat room, wherever you were joining in from, thank you for hanging out with us and watching us code things live. The brave Colin here is the one who did the work here. But thank you so much. And Colin, we'll see you around somewhere soon. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
And that's a stream for us. So take care, folks. Be productive, be well, and we'll talk to you next on the next Pragmatic Show. So that's it from us. So thank you and bye.